Sean Strickland's coach Eric Nicksick was less than impressed with his performance at UFC 312. Throughout the fight, Eric was urging Strickland to increase his activity between rounds, but Sean failed to deliver. Nicksick labeled Strickland's performance as uninspiring and suggested that Sean needs to reevaluate his commitment to the sport. Eric emphasized that he wants to coach world champions and not fighters who are simply in it for the money. Speaking to Ariel Helwani, Nicksick said, "We have to be real. It was just a very underwhelming performance in an opportunity fight for a title. There's people in this sport that never even realize the potential to ever be in the opportunity to fight for a championship. That should be enough to get you motivated to get you off the couch. It just, to me, was he didn't perform. It's on all of us. It's on me as a coaching staff. It's on Sean, and I think he needs to evaluate what he wants to do in this sport. If it's just to make money, then that's great. Let us know. I want to coach world champions, so my motivations are different. I think that just to show up and do that and not really back it up, to me it was just kind of uninspiring. It was just uninspired fighting to me. It just seemed like he was sleepwalking. It was tough. I was just trying to dig him out of it through the rounds. I didn't know if he was trying to collect data in the beginning or if it was just a slow start or what was going on. But as the rounds began to progress, I didn't feel like he was in the way most of the times that he is. It was tough. It was a tough 25 minutes to travel all the way out here, and let's not forget, this is a title fight. I take these fights very seriously. I was just disappointed. I was disappointed with the whole entire outcome. The whole fight as a process. Just thought it was just kind of flat." So Eric Nicksick faced backlash after this interview. Many people felt Nicksick should have addressed his concerns privately with Sean rather than speaking out publicly. Bilal Muhammad fired back at those who are criticizing Eric. Bilal defended him, saying that he was fully justified in making those comments. He also took the opportunity to once again criticize Sean Strickland, reiterating that Sean didn't deserve the title shot against Dricus du Plessis in the first place.
I see a lot of people trying to come at Coach Eric for this and tell him that he shouldn't have did that. And I'm like, bro, he's one of the best coaches in the world. And he didn't fluff anything up. So shout out to him for not like faking anything or coming up with an excuse like we've seen some other coaches come up with, you know, giving excuses for their fighters. He said it and everybody saw it. So there's like nothing to hide about it. Like he didn't put no effort into there. He didn't go all in. He didn't go for the kill. And these coaches want the victory just as bad as the fighter, especially if they're passionate and the work they put in, because they're putting in work weekly for these fighters. They're taking away time from their family. He's taking away time from his gym to go all the way to Australia, fly 20 hours to go out there, and this dude's literally not doing anything to try to win the fight. So it's like, did I just waste my time coming all the way out here? He's a competitor too. He wants to win every fight. They never want to lose. Coaches are competitors too. He's a big competitor. Him winning a belt, that's another title under his reign, under his coaching. And he sees all these other younger fighters in his gym, or even older fighters in his gym that never got the opportunity to fight for a belt, that would die for that opportunity to fight for the belt and go all in. And he just saw this guy waste it and not do anything for it, and didn't put it all on the line. So I understand why he's passionate about it, why he's angry about it. People that don't understand it are just not competitors. They've never competed in anything. They're just losers that just want to hate or cry, or usually probably got participation trophies. So shout out to Coach Eric. Like I said, one of the best coaches. And I never want to I never want to give my coach the thought of being disappointed that I didn't go all in. But I also think that's what happens when guys get undeserved title shots, unearned title shots. They didn't have to really work for it, so they know there's just a chance that they could just get it at any moment. So they don't go all in with it. They don't put it all on the line for it. So now I'm hoping that the UFC stops giving out these fake title shots to these clowns that don't deserve it.
Dustin Poirier is preparing for his final walk to the octagon this year. This week, he confirmed that he and the UFC are close to making it official. While there had been rumors about a potential matchup with Paddy Pimblett, Dustin quickly shut that down. He stated that for his final fight, he only wants to face another UFC legend. Nate Diaz responded to Dustin by reposting his quote to his Instagram story. He wrote, "Fight Paddy, he better than you." Paddy Pimblett then responded to Nate. He wrote, "Nate Diaz knows his shit. He's a real G. Dustin Poirier fight Benoit Saint Denis when he's ranked 12, but not me. You know what would happen." Dustin fired back at both Nate and Paddy. He wrote, "You guys will try to attach your name to anything for clout and clicks, but guess what? It's legends only." Jorge Masvidal explains how an encounter he had with Ben Askren during the weigh-ins prior to their fight gave him confidence in his strategy. The two fought back in 2019, and Jorge knocked Ben out just 5 seconds into the first round with a flying knee, delivering one of the most viral knockouts in UFC history. On the Jackson podcast, Jorge describes startling Ben as he entered the bathroom. He realized from this encounter that when the fight began and he charged at Ben would likely freeze up and immediately attempt a takedown, providing the perfect opening for the flying knee.
"When I see you, I'll address you." So the first time I see him, I watch him, he's like, oh, he's about to cut the corner. So I hide like this and I wait for him to pass me, and I jump up and I go, "What's up, motherfucker? I've been talking a lot of and his initial thing is to freeze up, right? So I know, okay, adaptation skills, 0, right? But what all that you've been saying, I'm just going to the bathroom, I gotta wash my hands, brother. And I go, no, all that, talk that now. And I'm trying to, just rile him up before he goes into the bathroom. Talk that now that you be saying. Let me hear it, bro. I'm not gonna touch you, just let me hear it. No, man, I gotta use my hands. You're a very tough guy, and he walks away, and I go, okay, adaptation, not the best. So I go back home, I do my math, and I talk to my coach. I tell him, hey, we're gonna do this technique, and we're gonna do it how you were thinking. I'm just gonna chill, and then I'm gonna run at him. Because when I run at him, that change of speed, it's gonna disrupt the system, and he's gonna go to his original format, right? Back to factory settings, which is what? Crotch sniffing.
Yeah, wrestling.
Not even wrestling, crotch sniffing, because his first shot's always like, let me just get a leg. Let me Hail Mary this leg.
Factory settings.
I go, if this motherfucker does that, he's dead. Because whether I hit him in the chin or in the collarbone, in the shoulder, this knee's gonna rip him up.
Dominick Cruz recently revealed that 2 shoulder dislocations in an 8-month span forced him to withdraw from his scheduled bout against Rob Font and ultimately brought an end to his MMA career. Cruz took the time to apologize to Rob Font for having to pull out of the fight. In a recent appearance on the Anik and Florian podcast, Dom said, "I had one dislocation about 8 weeks prior to this recent one that I posted, and that one kind of set the stage that I'm on a different kind of timeline than just age, which I really didn't add to the equation. It was more just like I feel good, I'm still fast, all these things. So then your shoulder falls out and then you're like, okay, I rehabbed it for 6 weeks straight, and then I went and sparred with Jeremy Stevens and a few other pro boxers just to see where it was really at after the rehab I had done, and I did really well. I felt really good. Nothing messed with me at all. After that, I booked the fight and then they offered me Rob Font, so that's why I was like, I should just take it. I'm not going to get in better shape. I feel amazing still now. I felt amazing before the second dislocation, and that's why I took the fight. So sorry, Rob Font, as well. I respect the guy. He's done a lot in the sport himself and done a lot of big things. So nobody wants to pull out as a pro fighter because it sets somebody else off too. It sets the fans off, it sets the fighter off. It's more than just me when you pull out, and that's why I didn't want to do it. But I knew I was on borrowed time, to put it quickly." Dominick Cruz admitted that if the UFC had offered him a larger sum of money, he might have considered going through with the fight against Rob Font. However, he ultimately felt that it just wasn't worth it given the circumstances. He continued, "It's still painful. I have a lot of rehab to do. But is that worth more than what I'm getting paid for this last fight? Definitely. Now, if they offered me a couple of mil or something, I don't know. I might have showed up and gone with a 50% arm and maybe done that, but you've got to figure out what your arm's worth." Ilia Topuria is looking sharp in some newly released training footage that he posted to his social media. Although he is not currently scheduled for a fight, rumors suggest that he may be defending his featherweight title in a rematch against Alexander Volkanovski at UFC 314.
Buenas.
Ray Longo and Jon Anik have highlighted the similarities between Dricus du Plessis and Merab Dvalishvili. After Dricus' dominant victory over Sean Strickland, both Longo and Anik pointed out that Dricus and Merab share similar mindsets, and both fighters tend to get stronger as the fight progresses.
But, you know, Strickland didn't really make any adjustments. He still stayed behind the jab, and, you know, his defense was pretty good. But the other guy just doesn't stop. He is like a Merab.
Yeah, yes. The only comp I had, Kenny, for DDP was Merab. That's all I kept thinking. They're the only guys I can compare it to each other.
Yeah, no, he's got, because, you know, they don't look, well, Merab's grappling looks good, but his striking's really coming around too. So, but it's the same thing. You can't deter these guys, and they get stronger as the fight goes on. That's the major takeaway, is that, you know, you got to be prepared for 5 rounds of a guy in your face, not knowing where those kicks are landing. I mean, he's just throwing, they spin elbows. He doesn't give a shit. He's got the balls to step in the pocket and do whatever he wants to do.
Colby Covington may have unintentionally leaked details about the upcoming season of The Ultimate Fighter. Daniel Cormier and Chael Sonnen are set to be the season's coaches, with Chael recently announcing that Colby would join his coaching staff. During a recent Twitch livestream, Colby appeared to accidentally reveal that Forrest Griffin will make a surprise appearance on the show as a guest coach.
This is pretty cool. This is going to be the 20th season of The Ultimate Fighter, so this is really cool history. Forrest Griffin was the first original Ultimate Fighter, so he's going to be on this season coaching a little bit.
On the same live stream, Colby Covington also took the opportunity to mock Jon Jones, referencing the infamous incident where Jon hid under the cage at his gym to avoid a drug test, a story in which Jon confirmed to be true back in 2020, explaining that he had just smoked a blunt and feared failing the test for marijuana. At the UFC PI, Colby taunted Jon by going under a boxing ring and pretending to look for him.
Oh, you know what this boxing ring just reminded me of, guys? We should probably look under it to see if Jon Jones is there, just like when he hid there from USADA. Guys, let's go look if Jon Jones is there. Johnny boy! Johnny, are you here? Are you here, Jon? Jon, are you hiding from USADA and the doping agency? Jon, are you under there? Jon Jones, where are you? I know you like to hide under rings away from the lords. Are you still fairing your test? Well, sorry guys. I thought Jon Jones would be there. He loves to hide under rings so much. Guy's a scumbag.
Carlos Condit recently shared a story on the Jackson podcast about Jon Jones getting dropped during a training session years ago. While training together under Greg Jackson at the Jackson Wink MMA gym, Carlos and Jon both sparred with Adlan Amagov, a Russian welterweight who had a record of 14-2. Carlos revealed that Amagov dominated him during their sparring session. He then went on to spar Jon Jones, and Amagov allegedly dropped Jon with a spinning back kick. Rampage asked Carlos if he's ever seen Jon get bested in the gym. Carlos replied, "I have, yeah. The same guy f***ed me up the round right before too. It was like Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. sparring. We're in there tipping and tapping. We get this dude. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Adlan Amagov. He's a Chechen dude. He fought in the UFC a couple of times. I think in his last fight they carried his opponent out on a stretcher. He finished a number of guys. He was like a spinning back kick guy. He f***ed me up, and then I think a round or two later, he hit Jon with that spinning back kick. He dropped him." And that's going to wrap it up for the news. Thanks for watching. For daily MMA news and content, subscribe to Full Mount MMA and click the bell icon to be notified when we post videos. Here are the 3 top comments from last video. The first one's in reference to Daniel Cormier and Chael Sonnen responding to MMA Guru's criticism and DC insinuating that he didn't know who MMA Guru was. It's from Bertle McGirdle. It says, "LOL. They always pretend to not know him, but they all know Guru. You're not fooling anybody, DC." The second one's from Dana Fight. It says, "Cormier's inner voice. How dare he call me fat? I'm going to pretend I've never heard of him." And the final one's from Icy Hot 8837. It's in reference to the back and forth between Alex Bejeda and Khamzat Chimaev. It says, "Alex Bejeda joined UFC 2022. 5 championship fights won. First ever to get both middleweight and light heavyweight belt. Record for 3 defenses in the shortest time. Khamzat Chimaev joined UFC in 2020. 0 championship fights won. 0 belt won. Lost to the Cold multiple times." Those were the 3 top comments from last video. If you want to be featured in the next one, all you have to do is comment down below. And if you missed yesterday's news, click the video on screen right now to get caught up.